What is up, guys? Welcome back to Tempus TV. Today we have a video that's been a long time in the making. It's one that I've been requested to make multiple times. It's one that I've been looking forward to make. But today we are gonna go over about 30 of my most frequently asked questions about living in Thailand. Let's get into it. Okay, so quite a few of these things we might have covered in a previous video, but I kind of want to just get a one-stop shop for my most frequently asked questions, and we're going to kind of do this rapid fire style. I'm not going to go too in depth on most of them. I might go into a little detail on some, but we're just going to try to get through it as quick as possible, or else we're going to be here all day long. Just a reminder, these are in no particular order. I've just made a list over the past couple weeks, so we're just going to fire right through them. Number one, are the mosquitoes really that bad in Thailand? Yes, they can be. It's not a constant thing. I'm usually the guy that gets eaten alive by mosquitoes, but it's not too bad, and bug spray is available pretty much everywhere, and it actually works really good. Number two, have you gotten sick? Is it really that prominent for people getting sick in Thailand? Yes, if you come from especially a climate that's a lot more dry. Here it's a lot more humid. There's just more, moisture in the air, I guess. So obviously, and your allergies are going to be different. So it is possible to get sick here, and it's pretty likely, but same thing, a lot of medication is available over the counter, so you'll be fine. Next one, is Thailand actually safe? Yes, I wouldn't consider it any more dangerous than probably where you are right now. If anything, it's probably a lot safer. I walk around by myself all the single time. The only thing that you really have to watch out for is the soy dogs or the street dogs. Most of the time they're nice, but anytime you see like a pack of them, I suggest picking up a stick or just going the other way. Next one, do I have to dress a specific way in Thailand? No, not really. You see people here dressed all sorts of ways, especially like travelers and stuff. The only places that are different are like government buildings, temples, stuff like that, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. Number three, do I need travel adapters, like plugs, adapters for the wall? 9 times out of 10, no, especially in newer buildings. The Thai plugs, the way they double, like a Thai plug is just a 2-prong plug that are round, but they have slots in it for it, so especially with American plugs, they're still the same. The only time you might run into issues is if you have the 3-prong plugs where you have the pin at the bottom and then the 2 at the top. Sometimes those can be hard to find, but generally, no. Next one, how do I use my phone in Thailand? Super easy, you just show up, buy a SIM card, you'll register your SIM card from the person you buy it from, pop it in your phone, usually you're ready to rock. Sometimes you might have to jump on your computer, have them set it up and activate it, but usually you just plug it in and go. Another one, probably my most frequently asked one, is what's your favorite island in Thailand? So if you know anything about Thailand, there's over 1,000 islands. A lot of this has to just do with preference. I give people like the top 5, which I actually covered in a most recent video, but personally, my favorite island that I've been to recently would probably either be Koh Samet or Koh Chang. They're just a little bit lower speed. Koh Chang is getting more popular, but Koh Samet is still pretty slept on in my opinion, between you and I. If you're looking for a more low speed, just kind of kicking on the beach vibes, Koh Samet is perfect. Next one, can you actually ride elephants in Thailand? Yes, this is a thing. There are places where you can go and ride and hang out with elephants. I suggest looking up for one that's a legitimate sanctuary, because sometimes, unfortunately, these elephants at a lot of these places cannot be very well taken care of. If you don't care, that's fine, but there are really cool sanctuaries and stuff where you can go and hang out with elephants. That is very prominent here. Next one, are there actually cobras everywhere? No, they're not everywhere. They're definitely in Thailand. Obviously, if you've done any research, I actually have a video talking about some of the most dangerous animals here. And there's quite a bit of them. Snakes are a big one, but especially if you're in the cities and stuff, you're not really gonna have to worry about it. The only critter you're really gonna see in the cities, if you're in Bangkok, you might see some really big lizards, but generally they're pretty cool, although don't walk up to them and try to pick them up. What do I need to wear if I'm going to a temple? So it's a little bit different for men and women, but generally you wanna have your knees covered and you wanna have your shoulders covered. So no tank tops, no showing your belly. Guys can get away with shorts most of the time. I try to wear at least longer shorts, but women, you need to have on a long skirt or pants, no short skirts, no spaghetti straps, nothing like that. You need to just dress modestly. What am I not supposed to do with my feet in Thailand? I actually just went over this in one of my most recent videos talking about the cultural differences in Thailand. If you want to, go ahead and jump back to my Everything Thailand playlist and check that one out. But generally, your feet are considered the dirtiest part of your body. Your head is considered the cleanest, closest to Buddha, you know what I mean? So don't step over people on the ground. Don't kick your feet up on tables or where people are gonna sit. And don't just like, kind of keep your feet on the ground. Nobody really wants to see your feet. But sandals and stuff here are totally fine, no big deal. It's just generally you don't want your feet close to somebody's head or where somebody would put their head. What's my favorite beer in Thailand? So personally, I drink Leo. I also like Sing, which is super good. I'm definitely more of a light beer guy. If you're like an IPA guy or anything like that, there's not really any that are made in Thailand. There's a couple, but they're pretty hard to find. You're gonna have to go to a place that definitely imports beers, and they're gonna be a little bit more expensive. But if you don't mind, if you're from the States and you're like a Coors or a Miller Lite guy, check out Leo, check out Sing. Those are my personal favorites. favorites. Can you get away with not speaking Thai in Thailand? Yes, generally you can get away with it most of the time, especially if you speak English. There are a decent amount of people that speak English, but also it's a good idea to learn some basic phrases. And always Google Translate is there to help you, so that's no big deal. Google Translate really comes in handy when it comes to like menus and stuff too. A lot of the times if you're going to Thai restaurants, the menus will be only in Thai. Sometimes they have both, they'll have an English and a Thai, but generally it's good to have Google Translate. How's the Wi-Fi? This is one that I actually get quite a bit. Generally, especially if you're in the bigger cities, it's pretty good. Cell service is pretty good as well. I use my hotspot pretty frequently, and you can find good Wi-Fi at most places. Is it safe to drink the tap water? No. If you're not from here, I don't recommend drinking the tap water. You'll see most Thais themselves don't really drink tap water. Just a good practice when you go overseas not to drink the tap water. There's gonna be microbes and stuff that your body's not used to. Really good way to get sick. And this also includes brushing your teeth, and when you're in the shower, do your best not to swallow any of the water. Is it worth coming to Thailand during rainy season? So it depends on what you want to do really. If you want to do like islands, diving, things like that, it might be a little bit harder when it's rainy season. It generally rains every day, not all day, not too big a deal, but the sun doesn't come out quite as frequently. As you can see today, it's getting to about that time of year, but it's totally worth it. Especially accommodation can be easier to find. Trips, tours, stuff like that are all going to be cheaper because it's their off season. Everything's just generally less crowded. So yeah, totally worth it. Which do you prefer, Northern Thailand or Southern Thailand? So I like both for different reasons. Obviously, Northern Thailand is farther away from the water, so you get up into the mountains and stuff. Everything's a little bit cooler. I'm a big like mountain biker and hiker and stuff like that, so I love the mountains, but I'm also a beach guy. I love the ocean. So if you want to do like the islands, have that whole vibe, check out the South. If you want to get more out of the cities and stuff and up in the mountains, see a little bit different, like more real Thai culture, I would say, go ahead and check out the North. But both definitely worth it. If you can manage both in one trip, do both. Is traveling around Thailand easy? I'm assuming that this one means like public transportation. Obviously, if you have a car and things like that, super easy to get around. But generally, there's really good public transportation, especially in the cities. And even if you want to go from one city to another, most of the time there's a bus route. There's still a decent amount of passenger trains here. There are domestic flights. So if you're going to like Bangkok to Phuket, to Pattaya, to Chiang Mai, there are flights for all those. They're super short and they're super cheap. So it is actually really easy to get around Thailand. The only thing is if you do drive, generally things take a lot longer just because traffic and stuff like that. And there's not really a lot of freeways. Do they have ATMs and can you use your debit card? Yeah, absolutely. There's ATMs, especially at every single 7-Eleven. There's usually a couple out front. I do recommend trying to find a card that won't charge you international fees. And when you go to the ATMs, even if you don't have international fees on your card, you will get charged a fee if you are transferring from one currency to Thai baht. So I do recommend go there, pull out what you need for maybe the week or even if your entire trip. I don't recommend carrying all your cash, but feel free to tuck it away in your condo or something like that. I would just hide it, but try to avoid going to the ATM frequently just because you're gonna get charged a lot, and cash is king. So carry around cash. There's a lot of places that don't accept card, and if they do, you're gonna get hit with big fees or there's gonna be minimum like expenditures and stuff like that. So if you wanna hit the ATM, do it as least frequently as possible. Do I need a tip in Thailand? So this was another one that I talked about in my recent cultural differences video. You don't need to tip. It's not really expected anywhere, but it is appreciated. There's certain situations where it can be kind of weird. And if you want to learn more about that, feel free to just jump back 3 or 4 videos on my most recent uploads and I explain it way more in depth on there. Can you buy alcohol at all times a day? Yes and no. So technically you're not supposed to be buying alcohol at certain times. You can still drink pretty much whenever you want, but there's certain times throughout the day where they close down sales. You can't go into 7-Eleven and buy it. But a lot of the times at restaurants and things like that, you can still get it. But the general rule is there is a closing time, just like in the States. They're not supposed to sell after 2 o'clock or midnight. I'm not really sure. It's different for clubs as opposed to like stores and stuff. But yes, does close at a certain amount of times. You're not going to be able to walk to 7-Eleven and buy a beer at any time of the day that you want. Do I have to have travel insurance to go to Thailand? No, it's no longer required after the big C word has ended, but obviously I do recommend it. Last thing you want to be is in another country, get sick or get in some type of accident and then you're stuck in the hospital with a big bill. You got to spend all your money, you got to go home early. It's all bad. You can get super cheap travel insurance. I only pay about $40 a month for mine, and I have an upgraded one just because pretty recently I got into a motorbike accident and needed some more coverage, but I definitely recommend it. But if you want to live on the edge, you don't have to have it. What is your favorite Thai food? So obviously, usually everybody's little entry into Thai food is gonna be pad kapow, which is stir-fried basil. Anything to do with stir fry though, I'm about it. Some of the noodle dishes are pretty good, even though I'm kind of picky, and Thais definitely do their noodles a lot differently than a lot of places. But I don't really have a specific favorite. Anytime like anything deep fried, obviously they have a really good like Thai style fried pork. I don't really know what these are called in Thai, and I'm sure I butcher the names anyway, but Pad kapow is definitely like my go-to. I feel like that's the case for a lot of people, but there are multiple different types of stir fries that I like. There's also a really good chicken cashew stir fry that they do here. I wish I could tell you the actual name, but there's a lot of good ones. Anytime there's a stir fry with veggies, you can't really go wrong. Would you rather live in Pattaya, Phuket, or Bangkok? So me personally, I'm in Pattaya. My biggest reasoning for coming here first is I did look at Phuket, I looked at Bangkok, I looked at Chiang Mai, and generally Pattaya is just a little bit cheaper. So it really depends on what you're looking for. If you want the big city, hustle and bustle, obviously go to Bangkok. If you want a little more laid back, island vibes, pretty beaches, go to Phuket. If you kind of want something right in the middle, really, come to Pattaya. Pattaya is nice too because you're only about an hour and a half away from Bangkok, so you can always bounce up there for a few days, have a good time, and then you can always hop on a flight and just shoot over to Phuket real quick. I like it personally because it's kind of right in the middle, and it's generally cheaper than Bangkok and Phuket. What is your favorite bar in Pattaya? So this is kind of like the food. It tends to kind of rotate. I kind of find spots and kind of, that's my frequent hangout. Then I'll go to another spot, and then after a while I kind of circle back. But my general, I guess, favorite part of town where I like to go hang out if I'm having some beers, I like the Tree Town area here in Pattaya, just because there's a lot of good food and the bars over there are a little bit more low speed than like Walking Street and places like that. Everything's a little bit cheaper and the crowd's a little more mixed there. There's a lot of people from all over. One thing you'll notice when you come to Pattaya, certain areas attract certain types of visitors. So I personally like Tree Town, just kind of more laid back, shoot some pool, beers are a little bit cheaper. So that's my favorite area to go drinking here in Pattaya. Are there really tons of people trying to scam you? From my experience, no, I haven't really run into anything personally. The only thing I've had happen is I had extra bills or like short change come back from tickets and stuff like that. But that's also happened to me in the States. Now, that's not to say that you don't need to keep an eye out for certain things. I do have a couple videos talking about common scams, especially here in Pattaya, that you should just probably avoid putting yourself in that situation. But generally, it's not like you're walking down the street and people are trying to scam you every chance they get, like some other places that I visited. Should I buy a motorbike or just use taxis? I'm guessing this probably means rent motorbike too. So it really depends on you. One thing that I say about riding bikes here in Thailand, if you've never ridden a bike before you've gotten here, I don't think this is a very good place to learn. The roads can be a little hectic, the traffic's wild, people make crazy turns, there's a lot of blind corners and stuff like that. So I wouldn't recommend having your own bike if you've never ridden one. Now, if you have ridden one before, obviously wear your helmet, and it can be super convenient, but also the public transportation, especially here in Pattaya, is super good. They've got bot buses for 10 baht that will take you all over town, and there's always taxis available 24/7. So really depends on what you want to do. The bikes are fun, but like I said, if you've never ridden one, I wouldn't suggest riding for your first time in Thailand. All right, guys, so that was my most frequently asked questions. I don't know if it was 20 or 30 or what, but these are things that I get asked pretty frequently, and I kind of wanted to throw them all in one spot. That way, if you're new to the channel and you're thinking about coming to Thailand, you can maybe get some questions answered in one single video. After a recent check of our analytics, a big majority of you guys that are watching these videos are not subscribed. If there's something I can do to change that, if you'd like to see a different format, maybe different styles of videos, you want different things answered, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. I always appreciate constructive criticism. As always, if you would like to support the channel, best way to do that is to like the video, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so you get updated every single time I upload a new video. As always, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. I hope you have a great day.